everyone, it's Tutorials by A here, and today I'll be showing you how to create this super cute little jellyfish. And basically, this is a quite easy design. I don't think it's a super duper difficult, so hopefully a lot of you guys will be able to make it. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up before we get started. And now without further ado, let's move on to the materials needed. So today you will need any type of loom, and you will also need a hook. I will be using a rainbow loom metal tip hook today. You will need 2 bands of black for the eyes, as well as 55 bands of your choice of color for the body. Today I will be using the rainbowloom.com online exclusive Sweets collection bands, and they basically are dual layers, so they've got 2 rings of color on the band, and I just think they look super cool, and I think they'll look great with the jellyfish. And my loom today has 2 red arrows because I took apart my looms and put all the pin bars in different looms and stuff like that. So that's why I just happened to accidentally put one of my red arrow pin bars right here. So your loom will have no red arrow like that if you plan on buying one or anything like that. So anyways, all my supplies today are from rainbowloom.com, and now without further ado, let's get started. So I'm just going to start with my loom's arrows pointing down, and we're going to start at the top of our loom by placing 2 bands, and you're going to place those vertically. For the first part of this project, we're always going to be using 2 bands at a time. I'll let you guys know when we are going to switch over to just using 1 band at a time. Now I'm taking 2 bands here, and I'm going to put these here on the left, and we're going to use 2 again for the right. So that way we've kind of got this pinwheel kind of shape here. Then we're going to use double bands still and go vertically 3 times here. So here is the first one. Oh goodness, I let go of those ones. Let's see, try this again. Here are the second set, and then my third set are right here. So you should have something like this now. We're going to do 2 more rows of vertical bands using 2 bands at a time. So do that 2 more times. So just going across using 2 bands at a time. So I've got 1 row here. We're going to do that 1 more time. Just like that. So now when you're finished, we are now going to add on the little parts here that stick out on the side of the jellyfish. So you're going to take 1 single orange band or whatever color you happen to be using, and you're going to wrap that around your hook 3 times. So that way you get something like this, and it does not matter the direction in which you twist the band. I just twisted it like this. Then you're going to take double bands, slide those onto your hook. Let me get that out of the frame since the camera keeps focusing on that. And then you're going to grab these 3 rings here and pull through. So that way you've got this here. Then we're going to go back to our loom and place these over here across these 2 pins here. So the bottom end goes here, the other end is going to go here, and it doesn't really matter which end goes where as long as it's vertically right between those 2 pins. Okay, so now we're going to do the same exact thing for the right side. So I'm going to take a single band and wrap this around my hook 3 times again. And I feel like my lighting on my camera changed for some reason, but here's that. Then I'm going to take double bands, 2 bands at a time, put those on my hook so I can slide these 3 rings up and onto those double bands there. So that way you get something like this. Then we're going to put these across the 2 right pins here, just like that. So now you should have something like this. Now we're going to add the single chains that make the tentacles, and we're going to have 3. You can also layer them on top to make more tentacles, but we're just going to stick with 3 today. So for this, we are now going to use 1 band at a time, and we're going to go vertically on each pin bar all the way down to the end of our loom, except when it comes to the last set of pins, you're going to put no bands on. So you're going to put them all the way down your loom except for the very last band. So you're going to skip the very last band. So I'm not going to go super slow for this part just because it's pretty easy. You're just going to go vertically all the way down, and then when I get to the bottom you'll see what I mean by not putting on bands for the last set of pins, because that might be a little bit confusing to explain. So just keep going all the way down your loom. So I'm here at the last set of pins that I'm going to be putting bands on. Okay. So as you can see here, this is what I meant by not putting on any more bands at the end. We are not going to put any bands on these 3 pins or sets here. So you're almost all the way down to the bottom, but you've just skipped 1 row. So let's add the cap bands onto these very bottom pins here. So you're going to need 3 bands for this. You're going to take 1 single band, wrap it around each of these 3 pins 3 times. So here I go, 1, 2, and 3. Just like that. Same thing for the next 2. 1, 2, and 3. And it doesn't matter what directions you twist these in. 2 and 3. So when you're finished, your loom should look like this on the bottom. We've got cap bands on each of these. And now we're going to go up to the very top of our loom and we're going to add on the eyes. So for this, you're going to need your 2 black bands. We're going to go to these 2 pins right here. As you can see, it's the pin that's above here where these little rings are that we put on earlier. Right here. So right here, I'm going to wrap this around 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I've got 1 eye on. You're going to take your remaining black band and wrap that 4 times around on the opposite side. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now I have something like this on my loom, so just check and make sure that that's what you've got while I get some more bands out. And now we are going to do the last step, which is adding our horizontal bands. So you're going to take 1 single band of whatever color you are using for your body here, and you're going to just put that across these 3 pins, just like that, and then do the same thing for the next 3. And for this last set of 3 pins that we're going to add this on, you're going to put it on the very left one. However, for the next pin, you're going to go around it, like that, and then place the other end right here on the right, so that we get something like this. So one more check over before we go ahead and start the hooking process. So just make sure that your loom looks something like this. And if so, we can now start the hooking process. So we're going to start with the eyes real quick. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab these black loops right here, pull them over the pin so that way it cinches this band here. So it doesn't matter how many you grab at once. Definitely if you have a plastic hook, grab 1 or 2 first. So you can grab this one, pull that over the pin, and release. Make sure you're not going inside of any bands or staying on the outside, grabbing those and pulling those over. Just like that. So that way it cinches right here in the middle. Then we're going to do the same thing for the other side. It doesn't matter, again, how many you pull over at once. I just happened to grab all of them on that one. So as you can see, I've pulled my eyes over here. So they're cinched there. And now we can start the hooking process for the entire jellyfish. So it doesn't matter what order you hook these in. You can hook one all the way up and then do the rest, or you can just go one by one here. I'm just going to go and do one on each. So you're going to continue this process of hooking these single chains all the way up. And again, I'm not going to go too slow for this part just because it's not super difficult to do this, because it's just single chains. The most basic bracelet for rainbow loom, but just make sure that you're going inside the pin and grabbing that very bottom band only. Okay, so I have now finished hooking all of the single chains that run up and down my loom for the most part of my loom. If you're not to this point yet, then please feel free to pause the video until you're caught up to this point, and if you're here, then let's go ahead and work on the body. So as for these bands here that have the loops around them, we are not going to be hooking these. They're going to be left unhooked. So what you want to do is go inside the top 3 layers of bands. So you're going inside these bands with the loops here too. And then you're only going to grab the bottom 2 bands here and hook those forward, just like that. As for the center, it's just kind of more normal. You're just hooking the bottom 2 here over. And for this side, it's exactly the same as this side. Go inside the top 3 layers and grab only the bottom 2 layers, just like that. So these bands that are here stuck out on the sides are not hooked. Now we are going to go ahead and hook up. So just make sure you're going inside of all the bands except for the bottom 2. And then you're grabbing the bottom 2 and hooking those forward, like this. And then we're going to do the same thing for the next row, grabbing the bottom 2 and hooking forward, just like that. So when you're to this point here, it's now time to close this off. So we're going to go on the left side, hook this side inwards here, and then we're going to go on the right side and hook that inwards as well. So that way all our bands are now on this middle pin. Lastly, we are just going to go inside all the bands except for the bottom 2. Then we're grabbing the bottom 2 and hooking those forward, just like that. So now all of our bands are attached with this here. We're now going to tie a slip knot. You can also add a C-clip onto here, but I just want to tie it off with just my bands. So you're gonna go in and grab the bottom 2 here. Make sure you're not going inside the band, you're staying on the outside and grabbing these bottom 2. Pull that over the pin and release. Then you're going to grab the bands that are still on the pin and give those a little tug to tighten. And then we've now completed that slip knot. So before you remove everything from your loom, just go ahead and make sure that your loom looks something like this. And if so, we are now going to remove everything off of our loom. So hot off my loom, this is what the jellyfish looks like. A little bit crazy right now, but that's okay. So if you have any bands that are twisted that were part of the single chain, go ahead and fix those so that way your tentacles aren't super duper curly. If you want them to be curly, then you can go ahead and leave them like that. But I personally want them to be straighter and more even. Okay, so as you can see, we've got these 2 ends right here that stick off on the sides, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull those out because they're not too prominent. So you wanna find where those loops are on the sides and just pull those outwards so that way you can make them stick out a little bit more. And then you can go ahead and stretch out the top part to make it shaped as how you'd like. Then I'm going to just take my hook and I'm going to tuck in these ends right here. So I'm just going to go in through the top layer of single chain bands and kind of put my hook inside so that way I can reach up for those bands right here. And then pull this through my project so that way these bands are hidden. And give that a little bit of a tug so that way it's not all scrunched up there. And after that, after you've fixed everything that is here on your project, we are now finished with this really cool jellyfish charm. So anyways, that is how you create this super cute little jellyfish charm. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if it helped you out, and also hit the subscribe button down below if you haven't already. And find me on all my social media sites that are in the description box as always, and be sure to find me especially on Instagram and Twitter because I am most active on those. And anyways, once again, I really hope you guys like this design. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye! Thank you.